you know there's something absolutely extraordinary that happens when you finally stop taking life so serious. When you step back far enough to see what's really going on here, and what you discover might initially disturb you, might shake the very foundations of everything you've been taught. But ultimately, it will set you free in ways you cannot yet imagine. Life, this whole elaborate production we're all participating in, is not what we've been told it is. It's not a test you can fail. It's not a problem you need to solve. It's not a burden you must bear with grim determination. Life is a game, an incredibly sophisticated game, and once you understand the rules that nobody ever explicitly taught you, once you see the mechanics beneath the surface, you can begin to play it with mastery instead of being played by it. If this perspective intrigues you, if you're ready to see life from an entirely different angle, please give this video a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more insights that shift your entire relationship with reality, subscribe to this channel. Now, when I say life is a game, I'm not suggesting it's trivial or meaningless or that nothing matters. That would be a profound misunderstanding. What I'm saying is that life operates according to certain principles, certain patterns, certain rules, just like any game. And most people are playing without ever learning these rules, stumbling around blind, wondering why things keep going wrong, wondering why others seem to navigate so effortlessly while they struggle endlessly. The game has always been there, operating perfectly, but you were never given the instruction manual. Until now, the first rule of the game, the foundational principle that changes everything once you grasp it, is this: reality responds to your inner state, not your effort. Most people have this completely backward. They believe that if they just work harder, push more, force more, sacrifice more, reality will eventually bend to their will. And so they exhaust themselves pushing against life, fighting reality, trying to force outcomes through sheer effort and determination. But here's what they don't understand. The universe doesn't reward struggle. It rewards alignment. Think of it this way. You cannot force a river to flow faster by splashing frantically in it. You cannot make a flower bloom sooner by pulling on its petal. You cannot create result through tension and desperation and anxiety. These states actually repel the very things you're seeking. But when you align yourself internally, when you cultivate the feeling of already having what you desire, when you move from a place of sufficiency rather than lack, reality begins to reorganize itself around your new frequency. This is not mystical nonsense. This is observable pattern. People who succeed, who seem to effortlessly attract opportunity and abundance and connection, they're not working harder than everyone else. They're playing from a different inner state. They've hacked the game by understanding that your external reality is always, without exception, a reflection of your internal landscape. I once knew a man who spent 20 years chasing financial success through desperation and anxiety. Every business he started came from a place of fear, of needing it to work, of being terrified of failure, and every single one collapsed. Then one day, after losing everything, he simply gave up. He surrendered. He stopped caring so desperate, and from that place of genuine detachment, from that state of inner peace with whatever happened, he started a simple project just because it interested him. Within 2 years, it had become wildly successful. Same person, same skill, same market, different inner state, completely different result. This is the game revealing its rules to those willing to see. The second rule of the game is that your belief creates your experience, and most of your beliefs are completely invisible to you. You think you're seeing reality objectively, but you're actually seeing reality through a thick filter of unconscious belief, and those beliefs literally determine what you perceive and what you experience. If you believe people are generally untrustworthy, you will unconsciously select evidence that confirms. You'll notice every betrayal, every disappointment, every moment someone lets you down, while completely overlooking the hundreds of times people were trustworthy. If you believe life is hard and you have to struggle, you will unconsciously create situations that require struggle, turning down easy opportunities because they don't match your belief about how things should be. If you believe you're not worthy of love or success or happiness, you will sabotage yourself every single time you get close to these things, because experiencing them would contradict your core belief about who you are. The hack here is brutal in its simplicity simplicity but profound in its implication. You must become conscious of your unconscious beliefs. You must drag them up from the shadows into the light where you can examine them. And here's how you do it. Look at your life right now, your relationship, your finances, your health, your level of fulfillment. This is not random. This is a perfect printout of your unconscious belief. If you're constantly struggling financially, you have an unconscious belief that money is hard to come by, or that you don't deserve abundance, or that wealth is somehow wrong. If your relationships keep failing in similar ways, you have an unconscious belief about your worthiness of love, or about what relationships are supposed to be. Your life is showing you your belief. Once you see them, once you make them conscious, you can choose different belief. Not by forcing yourself to believe something you don't, but by questioning whether the old belief is actually true, by looking for evidence that contradicts it, by experimenting with acting as if a different belief were true, and observing what happened. The third rule of the game is that resistance creates persistence. Whatever you resist, whatever you push away, whatever you deny or fight against, you actually give power to. You lock it in place. You ensure it stays in your experience. Most people spend enormous energy resisting aspects of reality, resisting feelings they don't want to feel, resisting situations they don't want to face, resisting parts of themselves they find unacceptable. And all this resistance does is make these things larger, more persistent, more dominating. Think about it. When you resist feeling sad, when you push the sadness away and tell yourself you shouldn't feel this way, what happens? The sadness grows stronger, more overwhelming, more persistent. But when you allow the sadness, when you fully feel it without resistance, when you stop fighting it, something remarkable happens. It moves through you and dissipates, often within minutes. The same principle applies to every aspect of life. The person who resists their financial problem, who avoids looking at them, who pretends everything is fine, that person will find those problems growing larger and more complex. But the person who faces their financial reality directly, without drama or resistance, who simply looks at what is and works with it, that person will find solutions appearing almost effortlessly. The hack is counterintuitive, but absolutely transformative. Stop resisting, stop fighting, stop pushing against what is. Instead, accept what is completely, fully, without reservation. This doesn't mean you like it, or approve of it, or want it to continue. It means you stop wasting energy denying reality, and start working with reality as it actually is, not as you wish it were. Acceptance is not resignation. Acceptance is the end of internal conflict, and the end of internal conflict is the beginning of actual power. The fourth rule is that the game is rigged in your favor, but only if you stop trying to control outcome. The universe is actually conspiring to give you exactly what you need for your evolution, for your growth, for your awakening. But what you need is often not what you think you want. You think you need that specific job, that particular relationship, that exact outcome. And when you don't get it, you believe you've failed, that the universe is against you, that the game is unfair. But what if that rejection was actually protection? What if that closed door was redirecting you toward something far better that you couldn't see? What if every apparent failure was actually the universe saving you from something that would have prevented your growth? The people who hack this rule understand something profound. They hold their desires light. They know what they want, they move toward it. They take action, but they remain unattached to specific outcome. They trust that whatever happens is ultimately for their benefit, even when they can't see how yet. This doesn't make them passive or unmotivated. It makes them flexible, adaptive, resilient. When one path closes, they don't waste months or years grieving and resisting. They immediately look for the new path that just opened. I remember hearing about a woman who was devastated when she didn't get into her dream university. She felt like her life was over, like everything was ruined. She went to her second choice school feeling bitter and defeated. And there she met her future business partner, discovered a field she'd never heard of that became her life's passion, and built a career more fulfilling than anything she'd imagined at 18. 20 years later, she could see clearly that not getting into that first school was the best thing that ever happened to her. But at the time, it felt like tragedy. This is how the game works. It's always supporting your highest good, but you cannot see the full pattern from your limited perspective. The hack is to trust the process, to release attachment to specific outcome, to keep moving forward regardless of what happens, knowing that the game is rigged in your favor even when it doesn't feel like. The fifth rule of the game is that your ego is not your friend, and most of your suffering comes from believing it is. Your ego is the constructed sense of self, the identity you've built from all your stories and beliefs and memories and judgment. And the ego's primary job is to keep itself alive, to maintain its sense of separation and importance, to defend its territory. The ego loves drama because drama makes it feel important. The ego loves being right because being right confirms its existence. The ego loves being offended because offend proves it matters. And most people are completely identified with their ego, believing that they are this constructed identity, following its commands without question. But here's the hack. You are not your ego. You are the awareness that observes the ego. You are the consciousness in which thought and feelings and identity arise. And once you recognize this, once you create even a small gap between yourself and your ego's demand, everything changes. When someone criticizes you, instead of automatically defending, you can observe the ego's reaction. You can watch it rise up in offense and recognize, oh, that's just the ego feeling threatened. But I am not threatened. I am the awareness observing this. When you fail at something, instead of identifying with failure, instead of believing the ego's story that you are a failure, you can observe the ego's interpretation and recognize that failure is just an event, not an identity. When you're caught in anxiety about the future, instead of being consumed by the anxiety, you can notice the ego's pattern of projection and catastrophizing and recognize that the present moment is actually fine. The more you practice observing your ego rather than being your ego, the more freedom you have. You stop being jerked around by every thought and feeling an external event. You develop what might be called conscious distance, the ability to witness your own psychological processes without being completely absorbed by them. The sixth rule of the game is that everything you're chasing is already within you, and the seeking itself is what prevents you from finding it. This might be the most important hack of all. You want peace, but you believe peace will come when your circumstances change, when you finally get that thing you're seeking, when you finally fix that problem you're facing. You want fulfillment, but you believe fulfillment will come from achievement, from recognition, from external validation. You want love, but you believe love will come from another person filling the emptiness inside you. And so you chase endlessly, always seeking, always pursuing, always believing that satisfaction is just around the next corner. But here's what the game is trying to show you. Peace doesn't come from changed circumstances. Peace is what you find when you stop resisting your current circumstance. Fulfillment doesn't come from achievement. Fulfillment is what emerges when you stop believing you need to achieve something to be worth. Love doesn't come from another person. Love is what you discover you already are when you stop abandoning yourself. Everything you seek externally is actually an internal state that you've projected outward. And the moment you stop seeking, the moment you turn inward and discover these qualities within yourself, everything changes. Not because your circumstances magically transform, though they often do, but because you no longer need them to be different to experience what you've been seeking. This is the ultimate hack, the final rule that makes all the others work. Stop seeking, stop chasing, stop believing that what you need is out there somewhere in the future. It's here, now, within you. It always has been. You just couldn't see it because you were too busy looking elsewhere. So here's what playing the game with mastery actually looks like. You show up fully in life, you take action, you pursue your desires, you create and build and contribute, but you do it all from a place of already being complete. You're not trying to get somewhere to finally be okay. You're already okay and you're simply expressing that okayness through action. You hold your desires lightly, taking steps toward them, but remaining unattached to outcome, trusting that whatever happens is for your ultimate benefit. You become conscious of your unconscious belief and choose new ones that serve you better. You stop resisting reality and start working with it exactly as it is. You observe your ego rather than being controlled by it, and you recognize that everything you've been seeking is already present within you, just waiting to be discovered. This is not passive. This is not spiritual bypass. This is not pretending everything is fine when it's not. This is the most active, engaged, powerful way to live possible, because you're no longer wasting energy fighting reality or resisting what is or trying to control what cannot be controlled. All that energy is now available for actually living, for creating, for experiencing, for being fully present in this extraordinary game. And once you understand these rules, once you see the mechanic, once you realize that the game has always been rigged in your favor, but you were playing it backward, everything shifts. Not overnight, not magically, but gradually, consistently, undeniably. Your life begins to work in ways it never did before. Opportunities appear, synchronicities multiply. Things fall into place with far less effort. Not because the universe suddenly decided to favor you, but because you finally learned how to play the game according to its actual rules rather than the rules you imagine. So stop taking it all so seriously. Stop believing that life is happening to you, that you're a victim of circumstances, that the game is unfair. You're not a victim. You're a player, and you always have been. The only question is whether you'll keep playing unconsciously, stumbling around, wondering why things are so hard, or whether you'll finally learn the rule and start playing with mastery. Life is just a game, my friends, an infinitely fascinating, endlessly creative, absolutely profound game. And now you know how to hack it. The question is, will you?